It's been now 16 years since the global financial crisis, and things have turned around in those ensuing years that people have defaulted back to the banking system and relying primarily on credit from financial institutions, that the systems that we developed in the 2000s and that were popularized have in a way fallen by the wayside. But now, by default, with the instability in the global market and the banks, it's going to come to a point where people are going to have to reconsider how they progress with their property career, because there's always opportunities. It's just like whether you're swimming freestyle, face down, or swimming backstroke, you can still move forward, but you've got to adapt accordingly to the situation. So I've asked Rick this question: how can I connect with like-minded people who use your systems without bank finance? Rick, how can they get in contact with the people? Well, I, for one, can suggest that the learning.webuyhouses.global URL will save you a lot of time, effort, money, and get you up to date with people that understand this. You've got 20 years of background experience that have been put into this system, and we are connecting people together in this way. But let's hear what Rick has to say about you getting connected, what he suggests.
An interesting question I was just recently asked, which was, if most people borrow money from banks, how can I connect with people like myself or like-minded people who actually don't borrow money that way? Well, there's no really school about this. You just start getting connected with people who think the way you do. But let me tell you something that happened interestingly yesterday. A man contacted me. He wanted to buy some foreclosed property from the Indonesian government worth several $1,000,000. And he wanted to know if I had people who could come up with the money to 10 or 15 million US dollars, pay off the bank to fix up the project. And I got him on a Zoom and I talked about 45 minutes. And I said to him, look, I'm not too sure that's the most efficient way to do what you want to do. Because what we're doing is we're paying off a bank which is already in arrears 12 years. And maybe what we need to do is just say to the bank, we'll look after these payments for another year longer. And we'll do what we need to do to this property project, get out, pay them the money, plus pay them a share of our profit. And since they've been there for 12 years anyway, they were open to this idea. Now, when he thought about it, he thought, you know what, I'd never thought about doing it this way. He was going to borrow 10 to $15 million, which is going to be hard to borrow. I mean, people just don't hand over 10 to $15 million to you. This is relationship building stuff. But to go to a bank and simply say, look, you're going to get the money, I'm going to pour $5 or $6 million into a project, I'm going to increase the value of your asset, plus pay your percentage of the profits, and here's my time frame. In his mind, all of a sudden, he was being introduced to a thinking he'd never really thought about. And then when he thought about it, he said, you know what, this is a much more quicker, faster, more efficient operation, a lot less moving parts. Let's go this way. So it's more about sometimes being the introduction of these ideas and thinking, because once people start thinking this way, they always think this way, and people will always want to gather with people who think the way they do. So you're always going to find there are people who are traditionally always gone to the banking system, but what you're going to see right now, especially in the West, the banks are getting hard. They don't have any money. This is why it's even very hard right now if you want to get money out of the United Kingdom or get money out of Australia. You've got to go for a bank interview. The Western banks just have no money. So not only is it going to get harder to go through banks, but more people are realising and recognising there are other ways. And it's like anything. If you're French, you go and hang out with French people. If you're Chinese, you go and hang out with Chinese people. And if you've always been buying houses and you just don't really think about banks at all, except the best part about the bank is the ATM being on the outside, you just start getting connected. You will simply find yourself getting connected with people who think the way you think. I think a great example about this is this. Look, I don't have kids. So therefore, all my friends all my life have been couples without kids. I have friends who have kids, and all their friends are families with kids. So you're just going to gravitate towards people who think and align themselves with what you want to do.